Today I'll be talking about decision making. It's how do we really enhance our capacity of decision making. So my slides, if we could, okay. So we, it's claimed, make more than 35,000 decisions a day. These are decisions that span everything from what we read, what we eat, or even what we wear. No wonder analysis paralysis plagues us. Now, the question is, can technology help? If we look at the three industrial revolutions, we notice that in the first industrial revolution, the steam engine was able to help us move across locations. In the second industrial revolution, with electricity and lighting, we are now able to see even at night. In the third industrial revolution, we were able now to start communicating with electronics and communication, even all across the globe. All three industrial revolutions were essential in enhancing our physical abilities. Now, with the fourth industrial revolution, there's a new capability that has emerged with AI precisely. This new revolution is now, for the first time, helping us really enhance our cognitive abilities. And this is now where the revolution really comes into play. So AI now is, for the first time, we're able to actually push our even cognitive abilities in decision making, which is a fairly complex process, a cognitive process. Now, in this presentation, you won't hear me talk about a technology-focused presentation. In other words, we're not going to be talking about computer vision or NLP, natural language processing, but more precisely about really areas of decision-making. How do we really make them? And if we look at today's tools, you'll notice that a lot of the business intelligence tools that we see today are really geared towards providing dashboards and tons of information. Now, that's interesting and helpful to some degree till it starts to overwhelm you with information. When that moment starts to happen where you really don't know what to do next. And we've seen example after example of similar aspects of this. So within COVID, for example, we had all countries around the world had amazing dashboards of everything that was happening. But the moment you started asking a question, so should we open schools or should we close them? That required a very different model, a mathematical activity that was not there. So this question of the last mile problem of decision making still remains to be a problem. And hence the question of, do we need now better tools? Do we need better AI to actually address exactly that? We need definitely better tools for the right insights, for the right predictions, for the right recommendations, as well as having it all at the right time to make the right decisions. Now, this leads all together to a discipline which is called decision intelligence. Now, this is now a fairly well-established discipline, and it is really looking at augmenting AI with a lot of social sciences, decision theory, and managerial science to really derive better decisions. Now, we did not come up with this term, it's well known, and even Google has their chief decision scientist today. IBM has the same. In fact, Gartner listed decision intelligence as one of the top major fields within the next 10 years within AI. Now, I'll take you through a journey of my own experience in decision intelligence over the last few years or the last decade, from within work at MIT or the center I had founded on the complex engineering systems, all the way to the journey of the Intelmatics, the company we founded. So I'll start with first trying to understand, so what is all decisions and what is intelligences? And it really is derived by a set of classes. So we look at classes of intelligences, and we look at demand intelligence, supply intelligence, location intelligence, logistics, HR, and beyond. I won't cover all the classes of intelligence, but I'll zoom in and hone in on only three of them today, just to give you more of a flavor of what we're talking about. So demand, supply, and location. And you'll see many use cases listed in each, or technologies. That's really not the focus. The focus is on the question of decision intelligence. So I'll give you an example of demand intelligence. In this case, we worked with a utility company to try to define what is the expected really demand for electricity within the Riyadh region. And the requirement here was very, very strong to have an error rate that was very low. So we were able to achieve a 99% accuracy rate of the demand of that utility company. And the system, I'll skip very quickly on to the next example. Now it comes to the question of supply. Now, here was a project we also worked with the Riyadh Commission, or the Royal Commission for Riyadh, and the question here was to look at, as we look at the deployment of the metro project and the public transit, feeder buses were an issue. So how do we really create a mode for creating feeder buses that would supply the demand that was needed there? And so we created a mathematical model, of course, with lots of AI behind the scenes to really map and understand exactly that type of supply to really come back with that type of answer. Now, if I move from there into the question of location intelligence, same thing. Here we worked with the Ministry of Housing. The question here was, can we start understanding a little bit more of the value of land? This was a project due to the fees that were supposed to be given to incentivize development of undeveloped land. And so there was a question of how do we really come up with a fair price for land? And the same problem here is, how do you come up with that price of land? How do you understand the future projections of all of that and develop really tools to understand that? Now, mind you, all of these are dummy data for purposes, of course, of the presentation. Same thing with logistics. Another problem you've heard yesterday with the announcement between Sadaya and Mumra, the Ministry of Rural Affairs, this question of visual pollution. This idea of having issues of sidewalks or garbage in the streets or potholes. These are incidences that require really a significant set of investors that have to go out, figure out if it is actually true or not. So how do you really figure out that logistics nightmare of which areas do you go, which ones do you really investigate, and which ones you don't? And then we developed a full platform for them there to work with them on this. Now, all of this, again, and HR is the same thing. We worked here to try to understand the question of what would be, again, the future of an HR landscape within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? How do we understand the mapping of skills around within Saudi Arabia? And then when we know all of this, we can start looking at projecting what skills do you need to learn if you are trying to move from one job or you have a career objective within 5 or 10 years from now. And we developed this with MISC as well, where we released a platform there which was related to skill space. And many, many other projects over the years that have been developed. Now, all of this has led to this establishment of what we call Intelmatics, or Intelligent Informatics Solutions. Now, Intelmatics is a decision intelligence company. We focus on multiple sectors, so we're sector agnostic. We have a multitude of processes, everything from starting from the process of sensing the data, to processing it, to analyzing it, to interacting with it, and eventually to automate the whole process. Even our logo is generated through that. So we have a 5x5, which is 5 founders and the 5 process capabilities that we look at. And the letters of the English language are distributed on that. And then that generates really the connections between the logo and eventually the logo, as well as the X, which is solving for that unknown decision with the sectors around that, mapping to it. And that really defines what Intelmatics is all about. We started our company in the US initially, and then we are now located in both Riyadh, London, and Boston. And we've been building our capabilities aggressively. So we currently have our teams from leading institutions, whether academic or professional, MIT, Berkeley, Oxford, NASA, to name a few. And our main focus remains to be, of course, and we have also partnerships. Sorry, I skipped. So that was on the partnerships aspect. We are also happy to now, we've been very aggressive in creating significant academic partnerships, since we are an R&D company and hence a deep tech company that really focuses on exactly that. So we developed aggressive partnerships with academic institutions. In this case, we were working with MIT and were announced to be one of the CSAIL, the only company within the Middle East as part of the CSAIL Alliance as well. Now, with that said, what do we offer at Intelmatics? Now, clearly, the aspect of trying to understand the technologies that are offered within each one of the intelligences is something we're very keen on developing, which is fine. But more importantly is the interconnections between those. And so that to us is much more important. So let me give you a quick example of such. Say you're a restaurant chain and you're interested in opening a store. And you're now looking at a marketing campaign of some sort, where now you've deployed your marketing campaign on one end and looked at it affecting your demand. But that demand in one area now will differ based on the location intelligence. So where is those stores located? But that as well, those locations will demand heavily on the supply now that you need to do. So the inventory that will need to kick in, and so on and so forth. So this intelligence complexity is very critical for us. So it's not only the use cases and the classes, but the interconnections between them that also matter. And this is what drove us to develop our own platform, which is called the Enterprise Decision Intelligence Platform, or EDIX for short. So imagine EDIX as the new, really, platform for deploying a lot of these decision-making tools and capabilities. It's more like the Oracle of decision, no pun intended there. Now, what's the value proposition? Of course, we expect to increase our revenues, reduce our cost, and of course, increase our business. And we've been developing the platform aggressively to look at everything from how do you locate your stores, how do you create your prices, how do you really deploy targeted marketing, all the way down to understanding your consumer behaviors and beyond. And underlying a lot of this technology is we're building many other technologies. In this, we're just pulling one of them and just showing you that capability. It's called Dualizer. And within Dualizer, the intent here was to build a digital twin of the cities we operate in this case, Riyadh. And so we're doing the same for London and as well Boston. And the intent here is to gather as much knowledge as we can from these cities. Where are people? How do they move? The demographics and all of this. But remember, this remains to be nothing but a dashboard. The more important aspect here is the next slide. How do we ask the right questions? Where should I invest in land? Where should I do my marketing? How do I do? That to us is the more important decision that needs to be done. It is that next step, that next move. So I hope in this journey, I've explained this need to move from this concept of simple information dump to, or decisions that are data-driven into decisions that are intelligence-driven. And so this is where we're going with all of this, and this is the story we've gone. So our ambition definitely at Intelmatics is nothing short of becoming, hopefully, the next big thing, and we hope to be a global leader in decision intelligence. Thank you so much.